The head of a major hedge fund says he's very worried that machines are going to push people out of their jobs, leaving them nowhere to go. That story kicks off the roundup.
The bulk of the people on this planet Earth are not really involved with super high value jobs. They're basically doing relatively routine work, routine tasks, and these are precisely the kinds of tasks that computers are getting much better at doing.
Nicole Verkindt is the founder and president of OMX. She's here to talk about that story and others. And Nicole, that was the founder of Two Sigma, David Siegel, speaking at a conference in Beverly Hills. Two Sigma is a $35 billion hedge fund company based out of New York. And as you heard him say, he's very worried about and computers taking over people's jobs, robots, etc. And of course, he's got a company that uses artificial intelligence, so it's kind of interesting that he's making this comment.
Yeah, I don't know where he's coming from, and I don't think he should be worried. I mean, this is a tide that we can't turn back, and it's really interesting what's happening because machines, first of all, are replacing a lot of the jobs that if those machines weren't there, those jobs would be going offshore anyways because it's a competition between a piece of equipment or a lower labor rate per hour. So that's the first thing that's happening. The second thing is most of the jobs that the machines are replacing traditionally were pretty unsafe jobs as well. So I read another report that showed that a lot of these jobs that are being replaced in typically pretty high-risk situations in mining or on big construction and that sort of thing, they were traditionally less safe jobs as well. So there's that happening. But this, like I said, this tide is happening. Most of the new jobs that will be created in the next 2 decades will be with skills that are not existing in today's economy anyway. So I think we need to focus on...
What do you mean? Because, where my mind goes when this guy talks about this is to low-end service jobs. I mean, that's where you see, they tried to put robots as waiters in China. It didn't work. The robots got fired. They weren't doing a very good job. But, people like financial analysts who work at Two Sigma, guess what? They're getting replaced because they can use, algorithms and AI and other advanced technologies to deliver the same sort of results. So, it is more those high-end jobs, the high-value jobs that are disappearing, and it's more service jobs that are always going to be there.
The service jobs will always be there, but there are new types of jobs that are emerging. Like, I don't buy the part of the article that says Facebook can be run without any employees. That is just complete nonsense. There are all these new types of jobs that are emerging from the network economy, from the high knowledge-based economy. Who knew that it was a title that you could now recruit for called community manager? And that's a real title in the web-based platform that you need to develop those new skills. And they're high knowledge, and it's increasing our entire productivity and the knowledge-based economy is a good thing.
Yeah, machines have been wiping out jobs for ages, right? From when, it used to be a lady who'd answer your phone or a man who would answer your phone and tell you, who do you want to speak to? Of course, it's like, press a number, enter the person's name, and, of course, we've been seeing
some of
that
that
sort of
stuff
thing
is
disappear
irritating,
forever.
right? Some of us don't want to sit on hold for hours on end and talk to a machine. And so consumers will demand, I want a person, or I want to wait a lot longer for a slow-cooked meal with more people involved, and I'm going to pay more for that. So the markets will determine where those jobs are going to be going or where they're not going to be going, but we should not be afraid of this. There are companies that I see, especially in Southern Ontario, that have embraced advanced manufacturing, and that's going to be their competitive advantage. And we will not win at the people game globally. We have China, India, we have huge economies that are always going to beat us on that field.
It's hard when you're on the other side of that, though, when you're losing your job to a machine. But we have other stories we have to move on to quickly, and related to this one, of course, is that we learned today that Google, the parent company, Alphabet, and Fiat Chrysler are partnering on a self-driving technology that they're going to put into 100 Pacifica minivans. So this is more like a retrofit. Instead of having to build a brand new car.
It's going to make it safer. It's the new Internet of Things. So that we've all gone mobile. Our use of internet has increased on mobile devices, but it's also increasing in the category called other, which is everything else, which is your fridge, which is your lock on your front door, and it's also your car, and it's going to be fully integrated, and I think this is going to help from a safety perspective, and it's going to be a good thing, and we're just starting to see it
You don't like people, do you? You just want machines to do everything.
No, I'm excited about what the knowledge economy is going to bring, and this is another example of that.
All right, well, let's talk about money, actual cash money.
I hate cash, too.
You hate cash, too. You just want to do everything online, right? Well, this is the latest, is that two economists at Mouvement Desjardins are saying that the nickel is going to be the next coin to disappear. Of course, we're rid of pennies and $1 and $2 bills, and they're saying probably within the next 5 years, goodbye nickel.
Thank God. I mean, I used to raid my parents' coin jar and get the 5-cent candies, and I remember that. But that money stayed in that coin jar because it was too heavy to put in your pockets, and it didn't actually. They talked about how the money that's staying in the economy is 5 to 7% right now. It's more than inflation. And so what that tells me is that it's either staying in the coin jar and it's just not moving because maybe it's heavy or whatever, it's lost in some car seat, or it's really contributing to the underground economy. And that's the part I don't like about it. And we talked about that on another show, but it's really cash that allows you to contribute to this, to tip people that then they don't claim that on their taxes.
That's interesting because that's part of in this report from The Economist, they were saying that there's actually more currency in the Canadian economy right now than there ever has been, $80 billion worth, even though less than half of our transactions are done with cash. So what you're saying about the underground economy is probably playing a role in that.
Yeah, it smells bad to me, and we have the technology, we don't need it.
We have technology. It does everything for us. Which reminds me of our next story, which is about WhatsApp, a very popular messaging service, as you know, bought by Facebook a couple of years ago. It has been temporarily banned in Brazil. And this is because a judge is very upset with the company that it would not assist in a criminal investigation into drug trafficking. So basically, as a punishment, it said, okay, we're blocking WhatsApp for 72 hours.
Right, and WhatsApp has end-to-end encryption, which means they can't even see that person's information. So you have two people, they're passing notes, and now you've got the government wants to have access to be able to see those notes, but WhatsApp can't give them that information.
Well, we have a statement, a quote from one of the executives at WhatsApp who said, "This decision punishes more than 100 million Brazilians who rely on our service to communicate, run their businesses, and more in order to force us to turn over information we repeatedly said we don't have." You don't believe they have it?
They don't have it. Lots of companies use end-to-end encryption, and it means that the company itself is not. They don't have that information, and so what the government's asking them to do is to leave the key under the mat to someone's house they don't own, and that's the physical example of what they're asking them to do. And so maybe they'll solve it the same way Apple solved it, which is get somebody to hack in, which isn't necessarily a good long-term solution, but. I just don't think this is the right thing for the government to do, and it's going to set a bad precedent, and there's lots of countries in this world, and we can't ask every company to develop hacks into their systems for them.
So many different cases these days, the battle between privacy and law enforcement. All right, well, thank you so much, Nicole.
Thanks, Sam.